The wrench hit the concrete with a crack so sharp it cut through every whisper, every laugh, every arrogant smirk hanging in the air. The entire garage went dead silent. The old Chevy truck sat on the lift behind him. Its head open like a disappointed mouth. Mr. Harris stood there in his oil-stained overalls, shoulders squared, his weathered dark brown hands trembling, not from fear, but from the kind of anger that only comes from being humiliated after a lifetime of giving everything you had. His gray beard shook slightly as he looked at the young men who had been mocking him all morning. "You boys think this is funny?" he said, his voice low, gravelly, the kind that made grown men straighten up even when they didn't want to. Asterisk if this story moved you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps bring more stories to life. The younger mechanics, Tyler, Mason, Ricky, and Jordan, had been laughing just seconds earlier. Tyler still had the spray-painted cardboard sign behind his leg. Retirement relic. They had hung it above Mr. Harris's old tool bench, thinking the old man wouldn't notice, thinking he was too slow, too used up to matter. He had only come in for a visit. He wasn't supposed to be here long. Just a simple stop to see the shop he'd spent 50 years building from nothing. But the place he considered a second home suddenly felt like a stage for a cruel joke. "Move," he said. They moved. Not because he forced them, because something in his voice told them the joke was over. Mr. Harris crouched beside the Chevy truck they had been struggling with all morning. He didn't need to ask what was wrong. He had heard the uneven clicking the moment he walked in. He clicked on a small flashlight, leaned over the engine, and the boys watched their smirks dissolve. In less than 10 seconds, he paused. "There's your problem," he said calmly. Tyler cleared his throat. "Sir, what is it?" "Your crankshaft sensor isn't seated. Whoever put it in didn't lock the clip." The boys exchanged looks. They had replaced that sensor, watched YouTube videos, argued, guessed, and still missed the simplest part. Harris reached in, snapped the clip into place with a click that sounded like a slap across their egos, and stepped back. "Try it." Tyler climbed in and turned the key. The engine exploded to life. Loud, steady, powerful. Half the garage literally jumped. Harris didn't smile. He just crossed his arms and stared at them, disappointment radiating off him like heat from an engine block. Mason finally whispered, "How do you know that's so fast?" 50 years in this shop, Harris said. "You don't forget the things you learn by heart." He walked to the trash can, grabbed the spray-painted retirement relic sign, and held it up. His voice stayed quiet, which somehow made it worse. "You want to play around? Fine. But don't you ever disrespect a man's years. You don't mock the hands that kept this place running when half of you were still in diapers." The boys shifted uncomfortably. Ricky looked like he wanted to disappear. "You think age makes a man useless?" Harris continued. "Let me tell you something about this job. It ain't about being fast. It's about being thorough. It ain't about having the newest tools. It's about knowing how to use the old ones. And it ain't about ego. It's about pride." He pointed toward the truck. "And today, all I saw was boys pretending to be men." The garage went quiet again, but this time it was heavy, different. Harris felt the weight of the silence settle on all of them. Tyler stepped forward first. The cocky grin he always wore was gone. "Mr. Harris, we messed up. All of us. We thought it'd be funny. But it wasn't. You deserve way more respect than that." The others nodded. Jordan mumbled, "We're sorry, sir." But then Tyler surprised everyone, even his friends. "Would you maybe consider coming in sometimes? Not to work, just to teach us. For real. We want to learn what you know." Harris stared at the outstretched hand. He had seen engines blow, shops fail, owners walk away. But seeing humility? That was rare. And precious. He shook Tyler's hand firmly. "If I teach you, you show up on time. You listen. And you never pretend you know more than you do." "Yes, sir. Absolutely." But Harris wasn't done. He walked over to the Chevy, knocked gently on the hood, and said, "You boys spent 4 hours chasing the wrong problem. You know what?" Ricky swallowed. "Because we didn't know where to start." "Because you didn't respect the craft," Harris corrected. "You thought this," he gestured around the garage, "was just turning bolts. But this work? This is understanding. This is patience. This is learning to listen when an engine is telling you something's wrong." The boys leaned in, listening like school children. Harris continued softly, "This shop made me who I am. And if you want it to make you men, you better start treating it like more than a paycheck." None of them argued. None of them rolled their eyes. For the first time all day, They looked like they understood. Slowly, something thawed in Harris's chest. Maybe these boys weren't hopeless. Maybe they just needed someone to shape them. That he glanced around the shop. The familiar creak of the lift, the smell of oil, the cracked concrete he knew better than his own living room. Retirement had felt like a slow drifting away from the world he loved. But standing here now, surrounded by these young men who suddenly wanted guidance more than laughs, he felt something spark inside him again. Hope. All right, he said finally. Line up. We're going to start over. And this time, you're going to learn the right way. The boys scrambled into position, eager, humbled, ready, and for the first time since he hung up his uniform, Mr. Harris felt alive again.